Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and welcome to the first episode of GTA 6 City of the Week. So this is going to be a new series that I'm going to be doing here on my channel that hopefully, if it goes well, is something I can do once a week, where we're going to evaluate a different city in the United States, gauging how well it would fit Grand Theft Auto 6 or the next GTA game as a setting. Now, I saw this series was done a while ago on a website, gta5cheats.com, and I'll leave a link to it in the description as it's inspired me to kind of do my own version of this. Now, the reason we're going to be gauging different United States cities is for a couple reasons. Number one, more recently, all the recent Grand Theft Auto games have been fictional parodies of US cities, and the Hauser brothers have gone on record saying that Grand Theft Auto works in an American-like fashion. So it's unlikely that Rockstar would explore other various international cities, although there's some great options. Rio de Janeiro, Tokyo, London, places like that. But it seems like Rockstar is going to stay within the United States. And for this series, we're going to be staying there as well. Now, it's entirely possible that the next GTA game will return to a city that we've already seen. And speaking of those cities we've already seen, these are the ones that have been featured in the United States. We have Liberty City, which is the fictional version of New York City. We have Vice City, which is the fictional setting of Miami. Los Santos, the fictional setting of Los Angeles. San Fierro, the fictional setting of San Francisco. And Las Venturas, the fictional setting of Las Vegas. Now, those are only the main cities that took place in these GTA games. There have been other various small parts of the world that have been featured, but not like a true main setting. So in this series, we're going to be taking a look at some of the pros and cons of each city, some of its iconic pieces, and why it would make for a great Grand Theft Auto setting. And we're also going to be looking at some fan-created inspired maps for each one of these cities to give you an idea of how a real map created by Rockstar might end up looking like. Now, this first episode is going to be a little bit longer than most because of what I'm doing right now. I'm having to explain what this series is going to be about. Most of them will be a whole lot shorter, and it's just going to give you the, pieces of information you need to know on why each of these cities would be unbelievable. Now, as always, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below to get the discussion going. Would you like to see this as a city that, is featured in the next Grand Theft Auto game? Or would you rather have us pass on this one and feature another one? And also, let us know in the comment section down below if you have any other cities we should take a look at too for future episodes. All right, so the first city we're going to be taking a look at today is Seattle, Washington, and its surrounding areas. So it's known as the Emerald City due to the vast forested regions that surrounds it, and it's the main port city in the northwestern United States, which would be really cool. We'd stay on the west coast, just above San Francisco and just above Los Angeles. Now, the city acts as a main hub of trade between North America and Asia. It's also situated right near the US-Canada border, which could lead to some cool missions in the campaign where maybe we do end up going into Canada or parts like that. So that would actually be pretty cool. It has sea access to the Pacific Ocean, which is also pretty cool considering other GTA games have had access to the same with their various cities. To give you a little bit of an idea of the city itself, it's home to nearly 3.7 million people, making it the 15th largest city in the country. And on paper and in GTA games, that doesn't sound all that high because of the various cities that they've focused on, which has been New York and Los Angeles and Miami, which features tons of people. But this would still be a relatively big city, and it would be recognizable enough as well. I think that's something that Rockstar wants to keep in mind here, that even though the city is likely going to be in the United States, there's a lot of people from outside the US that will be playing this game. And even if you don't live in the US, you know what New York City is, you know what Miami is, you know what LA is. So I think they want to keep the same kind of vibe with something like this. Seattle is also home to a bunch of economic giants, including retailer Amazon and Microsoft, and there's a whole bunch of large electronics and biotech firms that are being established within inside of the city. Now, a little bit about the geography. Seattle is situated on a strip of land between a lake and an inlet, and it's surrounded by various islands and peninsulas, bays, ports, forests, mountains that make it an absolute perfect location for a GTA setting in terms of geography. So in my opinion, it would kind of be similar to what Rockstar did with Liberty City in GTA 4, but it wouldn't be all urban, all city. It would have mountains and forests, but it would also have the dense city that we obviously know and love. Now, it's in the proximity of Tacoma, the National Forest, Lake Washington. So the geographic viability of the city and as a GTA map would probably be really easy for Rockstar to do. Now, because this is a game about crime, let's talk about Seattle's crime. So compared to some of the other cities that have been featured in Grand Theft Auto, in 2015, there were only 24 total murders in Seattle. So the gross violent crime is pretty low compared to other cities. However, as a major shipping port that connects North America to Asia, you can imagine there being a whole lot of smuggling going on with connections to gangs and corrupt officials. And I'm sure Rockstar is probably smart enough to connect the dots right there to make for some pretty interesting storylines that could happen. Now, let's talk about the recognition of the city as well, because there's got to be big parts of each city that makes it famous and iconic that we can see in game. Well, pretty much everyone will point to the Space Needle, so that's obviously something that could be super iconic that could be featured in the game. But I honestly think aside from the buildings, the mountains, the forest, and everything like that could be a huge selling point of a city like Seattle. Now, it's also been featured in a bunch of other video games as well, including infamous Second Son, which recently came out, and Shadowrun. They both feature Seattle as the primary setting. So now let's take a look at some fan-made maps of the area of Seattle and how it would work in the Grand Theft Auto universe. So most of the adaptations I've seen of Seattle so far have kind of been an afterthought of the 3 to 4 major cities that we all know: Los Santos, San Fierro, Vice City, and Liberty City. So you can see in some of these maps right here that Rainier, the area that's most commonly called, is just kind of tucked up in the mountains right here, which I think could be really cool. I've always wanted Rockstar to add kind of like a multi-weather world. So when we had Vice City, it was obviously at the beach. Los Santos is very urban, but with Seattle, you could have snow, you could have rain, you could have, just urban areas, which could be very, very unique. And you can kind of see in all the maps we're seeing right here how they're just kind of tucked away in the top right. But then there's some more detailed maps that have been created of not only the city streets, but also of some of the towns as well, which is very, very exciting. You can see just how well it would work as kind of like a multi-island way where bridges would be crucial checkpoints, helicopters would have a purpose, planes would have a purpose, boats would have a purpose. So this is something I could see being very, very awesome as far as a setting for the next and future Grand Theft Auto game goes. So let's kind of talk about a final verdict for Seattle and how well it would work as a setting. So let's talk about some of the pros. In my opinion, it's the perfect geography. You get the mixture of city, mountains, very recognizable places like the Space Needle and some of the various mountains and forests and stuff like that. It does have decent recognition. I mean, when you say Seattle, Washington, even if you don't live in the United States, I'm sure you've heard of that city in some way, shape, or form. And it also has pretty good story potential with it being a major shipping city right on the border between Canada and the United States. So that could be pretty awesome. The only con is it might be kind of vanilla. There's a low crime rate and there's no significant history of any massive crimes or criminal backing occurring in a city like this. However, the low crime rate in this city is an obstacle that can be easily overcome by many of the developers. Many of the cities that's featured in existing games have had lower crime rates than this one right here that we're looking at, Seattle. But beyond that, the geography of the region makes Seattle really a perfect choice for a GTA map. The only real problem with that is that Rockstar has been beat to the punch by other video games, including infamous Second Son and then Shadowrun. So would Rockstar be able to swallow their pride a little bit or want to compete with those other games? I mean, New York City and Miami and Los Angeles have been featured in other games, but would Rockstar want to come second fiddle when it comes to a choice like that when they could go to really any other city they wanted to? So anyways, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below. What do you think of Seattle as a future city in Grand Theft Auto, particularly in GTA 6? What are some of the pros that you've recognized? What are some of the cons? Let me know if you would like to see this city featured in the comment section down below, as well as let me know of some other potential cities that you'd like me to cover in a future episode. If you guys did go to enjoy this new series, a like rating would of course be awesome, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.